What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Leave It to the Judges MMA show. I'm with the boys, Nick and Xavier. And today, guys, we're going to be looking ahead in June and July of the Fight Night main events. We're going to preview them, predict them. But really quickly, guys, let's look to the most recent Fight Night main event. Manuel Cap versus Horiguchi. A lot at stake at the 125-pound division. Cape got it done, the Starboy. There's a lot of tension in flyweight on this channel. We all got our own guys. We all support certain people, but how about Cape? Just getting another really impressive knockout. Horiguchi looked really good throughout the fight. I think everyone had him up on the scorecards, but he just got caught. Cape seems to have that power at 125. What'd you guys see out there?
First of all, before I start gloating, Horiguchi a freaking dog, man. I think he would have a legit chance against Pantoja even. He was like really handily kind of winning the fight, not dominating it on the feet, but like he was getting off on the feet and like kind of dominating the fight on the ground and the grappling. Um, Cape seemed to like really have very few uh like get ups in his arsenal. I also kind of think maybe he just, chose to conserve his energy there and not like waste his energy trying to get up. It didn't seem like he was trying to get up that much. More just trying to like land a couple of elbows and like, stay safe for the most part. It wasn't like he was getting like much damage put on him down there. So I guess like his urgency to get up wasn't like that great, but he was really comfortable to chill and like let these rounds salt away largely, which I wasn't exactly thrilled with. But to then again, like Horiguchi been doing this grappling shit a long time. He a vet in this game. Um, Still hitting a late prime. I would say like this didn't getting slimed out by Cape like doesn't really like tell me that you're not in your late prime still. And yeah, I mean at the end of the day, Cape has that nuclear option in his hands, and whether he's winning rounds or losing rounds. His hands will always be a threat. He's always a couple shots away from putting you out. And that's a superpower at flyweight because like not many people carry that kind of power down there at the lower weight divisions. He's also like lightning quick with the hands and like in exchanges when you get in the blend with him, like he always has the potential to clip you. And that's kind of why like I can see him having some success against Van, just because. Van is gonna get in the blend with you, like it's just how he fights. And I think that like even if it's 60-40, like in terms of skill, boxing skill, ultimately, like all Cape does need to do is land one to really like change the complexion of how shit's looking, and like he definitely lands, and Van is a little bit hittable, so I don't know, man. I'm a Joshua Van man as well, but I just kind of have a feeling that Cape's coming.
Hey, what a fight it would be, though. I can't even lie. I think that might even be more of a banger than Pantoja versus Van. I think just stylistically, they're just going to go out there and bang. I don't really expect either one to wrestle in that. I think they will just throw it out. Uh, it was a great finish by Cave. I did think he was losing a lot of the fight. I thought Hiroguchi was getting to his spots well, putting out a nice hook and jab, a nice body kick as well, just super quick. Like, even for his older age, man's still speedy out there. And the takedowns were nice. Early on, it was looking like a Hiroguchi masterclass, and I was kind of smiling low key a little bit early on in this one.
Shameless.
I'm just saying, Cave just like I like Cave. I've always liked Cave's game. It's just like it's what he did in the first two. Like sometimes he'll just wait too hard to find the finish and like just not put numbers together. Like you have the power, you have the skills. Just move forward a little more. I would like to see out of Cave, but nevertheless, found the finish in the third. It was a nice uppercut. Uh, Maybe it was a little early of a stoppage, just the way Hiroguchi got up from it, but it was okay. And yeah, Cave definitely got the pop. I will admit that. tied the record for most flyweight knockouts, I believe, or holds it now. I don't know. It's like tied or holds it. So yeah, the Cape versus Van fight is huge now. You know, the man could have taken the fight a few weeks ago, but decided not to, apparently. This is from Joshua Van's mouth. That's what he said. He was offered it and he denied. So, you know, we'll see how that one goes down. I still just think he's that man right now. 24 years old as well, by the way. It took him just 4 years of an MMA career to get there, and Kate's been doing this how long now? Like 10? I will admit now that I think Cape is the most dangerous matchup for Van.
Clearly.
Yeah, it's not even like I respect Pantoja and I think it'll be a tough fight for Van. But the man is 35 now, Ed. Little more brittle now after breaking that arm. We'll see how that goes. Well, Van will just butterfly him the whole time, push him off, and then we know how it's going down on the field. We don't even need to discuss that. But Cape's definitely the most talented there, I think, to catch someone. And Van has been knocked out. I will admit that. So it's a great fight. Impressive finish by Cape. Need him to start quicker though in these fights.
One thing I like about the whole Cape Van matchup, something that's missing for me personally as like a Van watcher is like he's so sick like in the cage and stuff. I just wish he trash talked a little more. He's very quiet, which is totally fine. I feel like Cape they've been talking back and forth a little bit. I feel like Cape will really get under his skin and kind of force him to be a little more active on the mic, and I feel like that'd be a really cool back and forth between the two.
Cape a good villain to the Josh Van story for sure.
I think they would have words on the mic. I
Because like
don't.
Pantoja and Van aren't going to say shit to each other, obviously.
They might say a little. I heard. Well, Pantoja, he was saying some stuff about Van, and man, this is one interview I saw from Van, and he said all this. So I don't know how he'll. Usually a calm, cool customer, so I don't know how he'll be, but
All right, though, guys. Let's move on to UFC Baku on June 27th. Here we got Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres, who is on a 2-fight winning streak. Fiziev, of course, just came off that tough L against Rufi. He's 1-2 in his last 3. Yeah, it looks like they're trying to push Torres here. Fiziev has struggled with like cardio in the past, kind of just going long. Who do you guys got in this fight? How do you see it going?
I'm not gonna lie.
A weird one.
I'm not 100% like impressed with the competition that Manuel Torres has beat. Um, and when you compare it to like the competition that Fiziev has been facing in general, um, I kind of feel like yeah, the 5 round thing kind of does worry me a little bit with Fiziev. He has been known to slow rounds 3, 4, 5. But even when he's slowed down, he's usually not like destitute. You know what I mean? He's not bankrupt. He's not like huffing and puffing to the where like he's not still a threat on the feet, you know? I just don't know if I've seen enough from Torres to like pick him against a Fiziev because like to me Fiziev like when he's on is still one of the best strikers in the UFC. Definitely one of the best strikers at lightweight. And he could really blend you up, man. And I could kind of see like a veteran lesson here. So I'm gonna take Fiziev here. But if Manuel Torres like does beat Fiziev, especially like in some kind of a devastating fashion, like he will raise a lot in my mind personally.
yeah. And then, by the way, I think the new ranking system like changed all the rankings. All of a sudden, I see Sal killed all the way up at 8. So coming
That's
into,
pretty cool.
huh?
That's
Well,
pretty cool. I didn't know they changed that.
yeah, they've already kind of
The meta rankings.
Down a little. Like Patty's now at like 9. I don't know if this is like gonna get changed, but
Yeah.
uh, they actually shockingly have put Viziev out of the rankings with this new ranking system, from what I see here. Uh, I don't know about that one. You know, especially you have Dan Hooker still in there. Rafa Garcia is apparently better than Viziev now. Like, come on. This is a tricky one because I believe this is Torres' first main event.
Think so.
First five rounder, I would even say, if I can recall. And like, I'm not gonna lie, from what I've seen from him, it's very like first round finish or nothing from him. He's the more dangerous fighter, I think, in there, especially after Viziev, the way he just got knocked out. Torres uses his elbows well. He has a lot of knees. He does creatively go for vicious finishes, and I do think Torres is alive here for an early finish after Viziev just got finished by Rufi. Um, but I will say, I think the longer the fight goes, I think it would lean Viziev. I don't think Viziev has to worry about takedowns from Torres. Maybe getting size mogged against the fence possibly, but I just think Torres is a pure striker who just goes for it instantly. I think he just goes for broke. And I don't know if I trust that because I'd basically be banging on him to get a finish. But man, it's tough to bet for Viziev right now, kind of the way he's been losing. You know, it's not to bad comp. It's just like, is he as good as we thought? I don't know if he is, to be honest. It's a tough fight. I can see it. I think it's a coin flip, but just after last fight, I think I would lean Torres here.
That's fair. Yeah, I had a lot of similar thoughts to you. I was pretty worried about Fiziev when I saw this matchup. Torres is a knockout guy, and Fiziev's been getting beat up his last couple fights. But you also mentioned like Torres is a different kind of knockout artist than Gaethje and Rufi. Those guys will just kind of put a pace on you. They'll hit you with multiple combinations, and Torres just seems like a one punch guy to me, which isn't terrible. But yeah, I think he'll just kind of get outclassed here. Fiziev is also at home, and another thing you just brought up, like, is Fiziev as good as we thought he would be? Obviously, at least for me personally, the answer is no. I thought he'd be like a perennial top five guy for a while, which he kind of was. But I think we all talked about on the channel once, like he's just so small for lightweight, like his stature, and I feel like it makes it hard for him when he fights bigger guys who can keep up with him in the cardio. So I'd like to see him drop down at some point. I don't know if that's possible, but I
I
got
don't
Fiziev
I don't think he can. I think he's like kind of too built.
too thick.
I think he'd get so diminished. Like if he cut the weight, I could just see him like not. I don't know, just his size, like in terms of muscle mass. I feel like it's a good weight class for. I could even, I know he's too small, but hey, he doesn't do well at welterweight, does he? Though.
Not at all.
Yeah, he's just too. I don't think so.
He's like a 150 or like a weird.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that he would. I think he has too much muscle to healthily cut to 145. Like
Yeah.
his weight, he already seems shredded at 55, you know? Like I don't know how much more he can comfortably lose. And like his chin is starting to get a little more iffy, so like I don't know if cutting more weight is the move, you know?
That's fair. But yeah, it's literally a pick'em fight in Baku, Azerbaijan. So that's pretty cool. The UFC's been going there a lot recently. Okay. Here, we'll just cut really quick. My computer just turned off, but I'm still on my phone. What's the next main event? Can someone check?
It's DDP Usman.
Oh, never mind. I got it. Back up.
Yeah, Are we we're still recording, right? Yep.
Yeah, we're good. All right. We're good on that fight?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2. All right, guys. Let's move on. This fight is actually after the Conor McGregor fight a week later in Oklahoma City. DDP versus Kamaru Usman, 5 rounds at 185. This is one of the coolest fight night main events I feel like we've seen damn near ever. Two former champions, two former top 5 pound for pound guys, two fan favorites. Usman moving up too. That's also a huge story. Him moving up to 185. DDP hasn't fought since his L to Hamzat. What are the major storylines here, guys, and how is this fight going to play out?
I think that this is Usman's last ride to me. To me, I'm choosing to see this as more of a Usman story than a DDP story. Even though like it definitely could be, where does DDP, like his road to redemption essentially, his road back to the title. I mean, a fighter that he's beat twice is now champion. I think that with the win here, like he's gonna get the title shot. But I think that honestly, either way, I think that whoever wins this fight is gonna get the next title shot. Just because like Usman has a win over Sean Strickland. He's gonna be beating basically the number one contender essentially, if not officially. And I mean, I also know that like Usman wants to make, one more title push. And because like welterweight's so like jammed up and he has a win over Sean Strickland, like this fight just makes sense. Um Also guys in similar age ranges, you know what I mean? Like he's not fighting some young kid and he wouldn't be fighting some young kid in Strickland. So like I just think that like on paper, like that is a easier path to the title to him than like, the buzzsaw that is the contenders at 170, which I don't think a old Usman like even though I think he has a chance to survive that, but the chances that like he gets through like the Garys, the Moraleses, the Islams of the world, like a little bit more dicey. I kind of see, you know, uh, a more healthy, a more planned trip to 185 for him than the time he fought Hamza, which he was giving Hamza hell in that fight. And we know that like even though Hamza's coming off a loss and his stock is at like the all-time low, but like at the end of the day, like he's still Hamza. We know like he's still Hamza, you know what I mean? Like and what Usman was able to do to him at 185 before was like really impressive. So I think that this is basically for a title shot. We're bringing back the good old Battle of Africa vibes from when DDP was beefing with Izzy. So like that's pretty cool. And I mean like yeah, I just think it's gonna be a good scrap. Great stylistic matchup. And I mean like let's just see how he deals with, the unorthodoxness of DDP. I could see like DDP struggling to wrestle him. I see this fight mostly taking place on the feet just because I don't think that like Usman's gonna be able to like. I mean, I don't think DDP is gonna be able to control Usman on the ground like Hamza was able to. I think that even if DDP gets takedowns, like Usman's gonna get back up, and if he gets real sloppy, like I could see Usman picking him apart for 5 rounds. But I could also see, like, I'm worried about what happens if DDP lands one of those bombs on that old Usman chin. You know what I mean? So that there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I'm so happy that we're getting this matchup. I do like when guys move up in weight and revitalize themselves a little bit, especially as guys age. I don't like them cutting so much weight because a lot of losses start to I feel like happen just because of that, like bad weight cuts as you age in this game.
Yeah, you just said DDP can't do to Usman what Hamza did. Both of you answer this. Do you think Usman will be able to do to DDP what Hamzat did to DDP? Just completely dominate him in the wrestling, or is that just kind of no?
No, maybe a prime Usman might have been able to, but like not with these knees. You get me? Not with these knees.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very fun fight. My boy DDP back inside the octagon. And they found him a perfect opponent in Usman. There's always been kind of a beef there from DDP's comments in the past. Like him and Izzy were kind of both beefing DDP. I don't know if Ngannou really had beef with him, but I don't think I think he was like out of the UFC at that point. But so there's some beef there. DDP was talking about how Usman wasn't signing this contract. That's why it just got announced. So I don't think they like each other, which is great because I think they will both go for it. I think it's a great legacy fight. Whoever comes out the winner, I think it's just a good legacy kind of bout for both of them. Uh, I mean, both like top guys in the sport, honestly, at one point in time at least. So it's a great fight. Now, how the fight goes, obviously, I'm going for my boy Duplessis. This is what I'll say though that makes this fight interesting. I do think Usman has the skills to get Duplessis down, even at his old age. I've seen Duplessis get taken down before. I knew Hamza was going to take him down. I just thought, from what I'd seen, Duplessis had a really good get back up kind of game, and Hamza just a different guy. It's all good. But Usman at 39, I just can't see him handling like a massive man like Duplessis. And God forbid, it's been a year since he's fought. You would hope that is all they have been training for here. Because I will say, I think if this fight is largely on the feed, I think it's a bad night for Usman in there, to be honest. Like, anytime him and Buckley were on the feed, I just felt worried of how he was, like, kind of striking. Like, Usman, I think, has had great striking, but I feel like the age is really showing in the punches and, like, even, like, just covering up, not a ton of head movement. And I could just see DDP with one of these blitzes and one of these bombs to the side of the head. And I really don't think Usman is going to be able to take it. Like, I think one big shot, like, really will, because it's just not his weight class. I know he's had two middleweight fights. I'm not sure, but he had the one versus Hamzat. It was a good performance, but Hamzat, he's never had super punching power really. So it's an interesting matchup. I think Usman is a live dog here. I don't think it's like as clear cut. I just think I think age will play a factor here, unfortunately, and I think DDP can go five. Usman could go five. I mean, it's a great fight. I think, no matter how we look at it. Uh, and I think Usman might even have success early, but I think DDP is just more likely to find the shot than like completely get out wrestled again like he did. Because he's gotten out wrestled before, but he's turned it around in his fights. Usman's a higher caliber. I just think he's a little older now, and the knees, like you said, are just not they're not the best anymore. So I would go with my boy Duplessis.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like if Usman was in his prime, I'd obviously feel a lot more better about him. And if DDP didn't get absolutely wrestle fucked his last fight, I would feel better about that. I'm slightly leaning DDP, but on UFC minus 360, those odds are crazy in my opinion. I think Usman's super live here, and I think at this age, he's got to be really smart in there, man. Like I think he knows what his body is capable of, and him and his team are going to form a game plan. But I think DDP will be a little too physical, especially in the striking.
Yeah, I can kind of see it being one of those fights where like Usman's kind of like looking great, and then DDP just lands something and changes the complexion of it quickly. You know what I mean? But, but I hope not. I hope old man Usman's got one more run in him, man. I would love to see that, and that would really like boost his all-time ranks, even though it's already pretty high.
And Oklahoma, I feel like that's just really cool it being there. It's always lit for the Thunder game, so I'm sure it'll be really cool for UFC.
We only have
Oh my bad.
we only have Ankalaev and Medic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing. Oh, no, wait. So yeah. Okay.
All right, guys, so let's move to July 25th in Abu Dhabi. We're going to 205 here, guys. Ankalaev versus Khalil Roundtree, two former title contenders, one former champion. Both have fought Alex Pereira. With Pereira out of the division, I feel like there's a lot on the line here. This is a really good fight, 5 rounds. Damn, Ankalaev's a minus 325 favorite on the UFC's website. Do you guys think those odds are justifiable? And yeah, what are your thoughts on this fight? And what's at stake at 205 that now that Pereira's gone and Olberg's the champ and injured?
Um, I don't think that the odds are right, but they make sense to me on paper. Um, Roundtree is coming off getting like violently killed by Yuri. And then before that, like 2 fights ago, he got violently killed by Pereira. So like even though in the middle even though in the middle of that he whooped on Jamal Hill, I do feel like Ankalaev coming like before the fight that he's coming off of against Poatan, like he beat Poatan, and before that he was on a hell of a run. Um, Even the fight with Pereira didn't say much other than the fact that Pereira just marched across the cage and was angry and just like quickly stunned him and rocked him and put him down. Um, Kind of like shell shocked him a little bit, but that is not by itself enough for me to think that like the technical ability, the wrestling ability, the ability just to like clinch Khalil Roundtree won't be there. Even just like holding him against the cage, like kind of grinding him out. We've seen Khalil Roundtree gas before against Pereira, even though that was obviously a much different kind of style fight than Ankalaev provides, but still like we've seen him, obviously slow down in there and like I just think that like public perception of this fight, it would make sense for Ankalaev to win. He's still the number one contender and former champ, recent former champ. Um And I am gonna pick him to win this fight. But I do think that Khalil Roundtree will have his moments, and it will not look easy at all. I can see him having a lot of early success because like Mangamed tends to struggle with output these days to me. And the one thing I can say for Roundtree is I know he's gonna throw in there, throw kicks, throw punches, like so I can see him like getting up a round or two and then like, eventually getting finished somewhere down the stretch where Uncle Life will take over. Or I could see him like kind of splitting round one and two and then like over time Uncle Life kind of grinding him out a little bit more. But I do think it's gonna be a great matchup and like it's a hell of a fight night main event. Like they're doing these fight night main events like justice, I will say for the most part. Sans the next one.
Yeah, besides the next one, but it it's a banger. I think Uncle I have something to prove out there. Roundtree coming off that KO loss as well. So it's a great matchup, and you can't make an argument the winner of this fight could get the title shot, I think. Um, Roundtree, he was looking good versus Yuri. And then I think Yuri just kind of overwhelmed him in the third. But I thought he was looking good for a lot of that fight and was winning. Um, my worry stylistically here for Uncle Ive, like you were saying, the output needs to be more. He needs to be more on the front foot and like dictating the pace. Because I could just see a world kind of like the Blahovic fight where Khalil's just on the outside, kicking the leg at range all day long. And Uncle Ive usually has not done well with the leg kicks in the past. So I think Khalil is someone who can definitely do some damage with that. I'll lean on Kaliv because I don't trust the man really. I never have. I've never been a big believer in these big moments for him. He got the Bahia dub, but let's be for real. Based on the second fight, how real was that first fight?
Very real.
It was oh man, like I think Uncle Live landed 50 strikes and won four. He did win very convincingly, but it was like in the 50s or something for a 5 round fight. I was just not super impressed. So Uncle Live's got a lot to prove. Like here's the thing, I think he can wrestle. But I think he just loves to kickbox. I've never seen him really earlier in his career, he was wrestling a lot more. I've not seen him wrestle in a minute since the Blachowicz fight, really. And it would serve him well here, probably, because I don't think Khalil would expect it. Uh, and Khalil's still hungry. I think the he did. I think I will agree. I think the longer the fight goes, the more damaged Khalil will. I don't think Khalil can wear it well in a 5 round fight anymore. I will say that. I think he's someone who can get broken over rounds, but I think Khalil will have good success early. I think he'll be on the kicks very good. I just think Uncle Ive's got to match him there. He's got to match him in the kicks. Just be in boxing. Just be control the center. Like at least be moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think if he does that, he should win. I think he should win. But it's a tough fight, man. I think stylistically it's a tough fight for him. But I think him just being the bigger guy, a little younger, he was the champ. I would lean on Goliath, but I think it's a tough matchup.
Yeah, going into this part of the video, I was prepared to pick Roundtree just based off recent performances. And yeah, activity's the big thing. Uncle Ive tends to stare a lot, but there's just something about I feel like Uncle Ive is primed to like lock the F in here and really like low-key get his belt back. I know he got demolished and deleted by Pereira, but it's still 1-1. Like him being the champion of this division wouldn't look kind of kooky to me. It would look a little weird if Roundtree was. I know that's not fair because he lost to Pereira, but like
I feel you though.
yeah, and Uncle Ive definitely hits harder, and he is the better fighter. Like I feel like you could definitely smother and wrestle fuck him. I also think it being in Abu Dhabi will help. I don't know why. I'm just giving him the Middle Eastern points. But Roundtree is so tricky, man. Like he's so vicious and he has these great strikes that I feel like will give Uncle Ive fits, but I don't think he'll be able to hurt Uncle Ive. And Uncle Ive will be able to hurt Roundtree. Yeah, just if Uncle Ive is doing what he's supposed to do and actually kickboxes, mixes in the wrestling, I'm taking him. I'm gonna expect him to lock in here and get like a really much needed dub.
Needs it.
I just don't think that Khalil can like fight off the back foot for 5 rounds, without gassing out. And like as long as Uncle Live can like even if he's getting outstruck a little bit, like do enough to keep him backing up, control the center of the cage, pushing him against the cage, then I think that like Roundtree will wear down a little bit.
It'd be cool to see either of those guys versus Olberg. We haven't seen those matchups yet. Anything else on that one, guys?
I think that if Roundtree could get to Olberg, like that could be real spooky. Like then he might have a chance. I think he has a good chance against Olberg, but like I do think that like this is just a harder matchup for him.
All right, guys. Last fight of the video, August 1st. We're going to Serbia. Really weird start time. Uros Medic versus Daniel Rodriguez, number 14 versus 15. I don't see the odds here, but Uros coming off that really nasty KO over Jeff Neal. And Rodriguez, I believe he recently was released from prison, so it'll be his first fight And before that, his fight was against Kevin Holland, which he won. So 5-round main event here at welterweight. What's going down in Serbia?
I can kind of see Eros Medic kind of fucking chinning him, to be honest. But to be fair, we don't know. Like he has been in jail. We don't know that he might have a crazy mentality coming out of this shit, and like, you know what I mean? I don't know how much cardio he's been doing in jail. I don't know how much you can run around in jail. You know, like I don't know like what his freedom was. You know what I mean? Like to really train and proper. Can you train all day? Can you run all day? Can you, you know? Like I don't know. Like, are you being nourished well? Like I don't think so. Unless he's like had some special privileges in there, but I don't think he's that big of a name to where like he's not Connor in jail getting fucking good food probably. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know how nourished he is. I don't know where his mentality is. I do know he probably needs a check though. You know, coming out of jail, he probably needs some money. Who doesn't need some money, right? And I just think that like that might be what this is. Like Medic might just put him down. And I don't know where his grit even was. Like that Kevin Holland win, even though he won, it was more like, why are you letting this happen to you, Kevin Holland? You know, like I felt like Kevin Holland was fumbling that way more than I felt like D-Rod was doing like some crazy performance that like was warranting the win more so, you know? So I just think that Eros Medic is probably gonna chin him in violent fashion, especially if he has 5 rounds to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been impressed by D-Rod. He proves me wrong a lot in some of these fights, just like, but just the way he fight, like decent boxing, it's not bad, I would say. He just, to me, has no pop behind his shots, and he does usually gas within like 2 to 3 rounds. I feel like Medic just comes out here and looks the way he has been looking, especially after the Jeff Neal fight. He should finish D-Rod. Like D-Rod might even like be even with him somehow in the. I think Medic's the way more technical guy. I think in every area. I even think he can wrestle him a little bit and I'll grapple him. But D-Rod weirdly puts decent boxing combos together, but there's no power. I mean, the power gets there because usually he fights a high pace, and the opponent sometimes will gas out versus him and he'll get a finish. I just don't think Medic is that dude. I know Soriano finished him a few fights ago, but Soriano can punch hard. He's a freak athlete, but yeah, I think power wise, Medic is gonna have like a huge edge here. Obviously, has been fighting recently. D-Rod just came out of jail with Dustin Poirier, and yeah, I mean, let's see,
They
let's
swap places.
yeah, let's see how he looks. I just never have been impressed, honestly. I I don't know how long he's even been training for this. Probably like a solid month or two here. I don't know how long he's been out, but like, I don't see it going well. It's on Medic home turf as well in Serbia. Like, I don't see this going well for the man. But D-Rod is kind of one of these dudes, like a nemesis of mine in the betting streets,
I
like a Kyle Nelson and like who was the R fuck? I'd always lose. I don't remember the art fuck, but Kyle Nelson was one of them. So I think Meta should win. I think he's just better.
Yeah, Medic is on a pretty nice maybe 3+ KO streak, and I see them getting in multiple exchanges here, and eventually, Medic just hits him on the chin, and I don't know if it'll like slumpy dump him out cold, but he'll definitely fold him and make him like crumble to the ground with multiple shots.
It's not
Yeah,
K.
covering up.
Yeah.
And yeah, something with Rodriguez, with or without the jail time, I think Medic wins this fight. Ever since he robbed the leech, I remember we were all hanging out. That shit really pissed me off. He's just winning fights for no reason. I hate to say that, but no, sorry, Rodriguez. Like it should be a fun fight as long as it lasts. But I think Medic gets this dub and low key. he starts cooking at welterweight, bro. There's a lot of fun, like actual high stake matchups for him if he gets past Rodriguez.
That Leach fight was a disgrace. We all had money. The Leach clearly won that fight, and that was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen live.
That pissed me off, hella. I'm having a flashback, Ed.
Dude, I swear, it like, yeah.